I think we can offer our whole nation something, because there are three evils in our nation. It's not only racism, but economic exploitation of poverty would be one, and then militarism. And I think in a sense, and in a very real sense, these three are tied inextricably together, and we aren't going to get rid of one without getting rid of the other.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Glide Memorial Church celebration for our annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Sunday celebration. As we move through the celebration today, we want you to think about what does beloved community look like in pandemics of COVID, pandemics of fatigue, and pandemics of isolation. And also, as we move through this celebration, think whether or not we need to chart a new course or keep with the plan that our ancestors have laid out for us. You know, I believe that the ongoing and enduring work of the church, of Glide Memorial Church, at the center of any storm of our self-making, or at the center of any storms of systemic injustice, the aim is still to bring people together through the building of beloved community, through this decade's pandemics and into the light of liberation. The aim is to remember that this moment is our road to hope. This aim is to remind everyone that we find on this journey, and there are people on this road waiting for us to pass by where they were left out or where they were dropped off or where they got stuck. Wherever they are, the aim is to keep going because we know that they heard that we were a church, that we were a mountaintop church, and that we were on our way to the other side, and that we are headed towards freedom, and they will want to get on board. So that's why we are still marching towards it. We're still moving towards freedom, and we're moving towards freedom together. And I want us to know that freedom is not actually over there somewhere, but it's when we come together. Freedom is at hand. Freedom is hand in hand. Freedom is as close as your heart is to you. Freedom is at the center of it all. And at every step in this journey, we must recalibrate as often as the news brings us worse or even worsening news. And with this virtual celebration, what we know is that we are not back to where we're started just because we're online. We are being celebrated by the future that we doubted existed for us. We are being welcomed by it, just as you are welcomed here. We have an amazing Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration planned for you today, filled with music and art and sermons in the social justice and prophetic tradition of MLK. We have an amazing guest preacher today, the one and only Commissioner Cheryl Davis, of the director of the San Francisco Human Rights Commission. We want you to stick around, keep your hearts and your minds and your souls open to hear the words and the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. be spoken and sung through everyone as a part of this celebration. Welcome. If you are a first-time visitor or if you are a regular congregation member here at Glide Memorial Church, we want you to remember that we are virtual for the month of February. We are watching Omicron move through our world, and we are waiting for science, and we're waiting for the signs that point to safe passage and safe return. We know that once the surge ends, we don't return to a pre-COVID or post-COVID world. We just return to the Delta world and to the pre-Delta corona. But we, living through Omicron, when we get back to that, we show up with more resiliency in our bodies, with more lessons and more ways to stay safe and to stay spirited. So unconditional love means that we will love each other through every storm, and we will celebrate in the eye of every storm. Remember, online or in person, we call it church. If today is your first time with us, welcome to the house that Lizzie Glide built for the people and that our co-founders, the Right Reverend Cecil Williams and Janice Berkatani, kept open to the people. If you're a regular, a member, a congregational life participant, a leader, welcome home and welcome to our Sunday celebration. Let's stay connected. There's a link in the chat that will show you how to sign up for our church newsletter, Congregation Connects, and that way we can stay connected to you and you can stay connected to us. Is that all right? Great. So now is our prayer time. We're going to move into the prayer part of our celebration. This is one of the sweet points of our celebration where we ask you to trust us with your prayers. The prayer basket is now the chat, and the chat is now the prayer basket. So if you need a prayer, you can put it in the chat right now. If you need a prayer for yourself, just put me in the chat. If you have bigger prayers, you can put those in the chat. If you want to send your prayers outside of the chat, you can email them to us. You can use our online prayer submission form, or you can use our prayer care phone line. There are many ways you could submit your prayers if you want to send them to us privately. But if you want corporate prayer, if you want the whole community to pray for you and know your prayers, put them in the chat right now. If you need a prayer for yourself, again, just type the word me. If you need a prayer for your family, your friends, your house, your block, your city, your neighborhood, the state, the country, the world, or bigger, the universe. If you need a door to open or a door to close, if you need someone to come close to you or someone to go far away from you, if you need clarity, whatever it is let us pray and petition on your behalf. We have an amazing group of dedicated prayer circle folks who meet every Wednesday night, and we would be honored to receive your prayers. So today is MLK Day, and so we want to make sure that justice are always a part of our prayers. Who will you add to the prayer basket? There's an MLK quote that says, "We cannot walk alone. And as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back." There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy with fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels, in the highways and hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by signs stating for whites only. We cannot be satisfied so long as the Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and the Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied and will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. Martin Luther King Jr. Let's pray. We won't be satisfied having to hold our breaths under this water for long, God. We won't be satisfied having to dream about the shallow ends from the deep ends for long, God. We won't be satisfied having to just shed tears over death for long, God. We won't be satisfied having to be the backwash and the backwaters of America for long, God. Let our kindness that we hold on to be an island for some storm-soaked soul to rest on, God. Let our acts and our words and our bodies help us come up for air from oppression, God. Let us know your buoyancy, God, and let us no longer thirst for disappointment when we know that you can give us righteousness to drink from. In this lifetime, God, in this lifetime, quench our thirst, O God, until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. Amen. Hallelujah. Right on. Shalom. Salam, namaste, and ashe. And as we move through this celebration, I ask you to keep this question on your heart. Who should justice roll down to? Who should these waters of justice roll down to? And now, please join your voice to ours for our community song.
We shall not be moved.
Shall Good morning. I hope you were singing along with our community song as we do every week. We love to sing here at Glide, and we just welcome everyone to come and sing. Right after our community song, we do our community embrace, and all that is that it's a good morning. It's a reach out to the other side of the aisle to say hello and good morning and just talk to the humanity of each and every one of us. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to take the time, put the names in the chat. And if you're in person, just reach out and say hello. And we'll have a few seconds of just embracing each other. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Vernon, for leading us in that community embrace. I hope everyone could feel it. We're going to have some very special music for this MLK Sunday, curated by Vernon Bush, our musical director. But what I want you to know that every social justice movement has a musical soundtrack that accompanies it. So we want to just share with you some of the music that makes up Glide's musical soundtrack. Enjoy.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, 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 oh, glory.
against our skids become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. You know, justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on that bus. That's why we walk through this nation with our fists up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots, we on the ground. The camera panned up. Keep pointing to the mountaintop, and we ran up.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory. Glory. Oh, glory. Oh, glory. 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 Now war is not over, and victory isn't won, but we'll fight on to the finish. And when it's all done, we'll cry glory, 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 yeah, oh glory, glory, oh glory. We'll cry glory, glory, oh glory, glory,
This thing is now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. Then march with the torch. We gon' run with it now. Never look back. We done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads he rose to become a hero. Facing the League of Justice, his power was the people. Enemy is lethal. A king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald eagle. Our biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. We sing our music is the cousin that we bleed through. Suffering the dream we had and the epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win a war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord. My eyes have seen the glory.
one day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. Oh, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when this war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, oh, glory, oh, glory, 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 hallelujah, glory, oh, glory, 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 glory.
Aaron Jones.
Thank you so much, Aaron Jones and Vernon Bush, for Glory. Before we share the next song with you, because we cannot march together in person tomorrow, we still wanted to share with you a virtual march that you can participate in. Enjoy.
round and round.
Call us welfare moms pushing crack cocaine, jump Jim Crow, and we're back again.
Say their name. And let them know that we're alive. Say their name. Say their name. If we stand together, we will rise. Say their name. Say their name. And let them know that we're alive. Say their name. Say their name. If we stand together, we will rise. Say their names. Say their names.
Super predators, looters, thugs. Stand your ground, but not for us. Uppity Negro, know your place. Stop and frisk, fill up that cage. Lock your bodies full of rage.
Say their name.
And let them know that we're alive.
Say their names. Say their names.
If we stand together, we will rise.
Say their names. Say their names.
And let them know that we're alive.
Say their names.
Thank you so much to the Glide Ensemble under the direction of Vernon Bush. I want to share some announcements with you right now, but before I do, because we take this prayer life seriously, and because we gather every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. as an interfaith, interdenominational community, we have all of the major religions together in this room to pray over you in a way that will reach you. So I want you to know that we received your prayers today. Amani Carey Sims, my brother friend, thank you for adding your prayers to our prayer basket and for trusting this community with your prayers. Valerie Frescura, we have received your prayers. For Carlos, who just lost his partners of 45 years. Lisa Carey, thank you for your prayers and for praying for your friend's family in Tonga. Ann Morrison will be praying for you. Janine Bonaparte, for you and for Annabelle. For Erica Ericeros, also another prayer for Tonga. We also have received a prayer from Angie Norstep for you and your beloved. We lift up the prayer. Fiona Flynn. Yes, we're praying for resiliency for all. For Curtis, thank you for offering up prayers for Sal and for Richard, for Jennifer, for Larry, who has COVID, and all the folks living in the TL who are isolated alone in SRO rooms. We want you to know that we have received your prayers and we will lift them up and we will go to work and we will make sure that this petition happens. We also want to celebrate some birthdays today. If you have a birthday, put it in the chat right now. Or if you have any occasion that you are wanting to be recognized for, put it in the chat so we can celebrate you. But we're also celebrating birthdays in our community today. We're celebrating two of our favorite folks in church, Nady and Mickey. Happy birthday, friends. We look forward to being able to hug you in person, but for now, please receive this virtual hug from everybody in our community. We also want to wish a happy birthday to Jen Alanzito. Jen Alanzito is one of our favorite singers in the Glide Ensemble. She has a social justice mission and ministry in her voice. She comes from folk singers, and she has an amazing spirit that she adds whenever she lends her voice to our Sunday celebrations. Happy birthday to Aaron Gage, to Leah Ariano, and to Larry Holt. Happy birthday, community. And now for some announcements. You know, the celebration and the parade must go on. So although tomorrow's annual MLK Day March and rally was postponed to 2023, we still have an amazing offering for you. Go to our MLK playlist, glide.org/MLK-playlist, glide.org/MLK-playlist. We have gathered a parade, we have gathered a march, a rally, and even a club for you. We have compiled a welcome from Paula Farmer, our racial justice group facilitator, and then we've gathered there on that playlist a playlist of MLK speeches, a playlist of poetry, a playlist of meditations, and yes, my people, yes, we have an MLK house music playlist that you can download and listen to. We have events on the page also that shows you all of the events in the Bay Area that pivoted from in-person to online. So you have plenty of things to choose from tomorrow to still get your day of service in. Happy MLK Day, everybody. We also have some very special congregational life events and offerings coming up. On January 27th, our white anti-racist group is having a conversation on race and justice. We're going to have Tuan Hall speaking on that day. And Tuan Hall is the mother of Miles Hall, the 23-year-old Black man who was having mental health issues and was killed by the Walnut Creek Police Department. So we're going to bring her together, and she's going to talk about her ongoing fight for justice and for work on behalf of her son. So please join us for that special conversation. On January 29th, we have a congregational care offering where there's going to be a special event called New Year's Blues finding community and compassion in our blues. And this is a gathering for those of us who are still looking for the happy in the happy new year. And so whether you are experiencing blues from a sense of loss or sadness or fear or worry or numbness or some other struggle, you are welcomed just as you are in this gathering of folks. So New Year's Blues on January 29th. There are links in the chat that will show you how to get there. You want to be a part of our amazing AV team on Sundays? There are links in the job description. There are job description links in our church announcements page that will show you how to know about and how to be a part of our Sunday celebration. We have an amazing AV team, as you can tell, where we are centering the congregation experience there, where we are hoping to find more beautiful tools to bring you more beautiful services and more robust music and just everything that we can to make this thing, church, really special for you. So go to our Glide announcements page to find out more about those positions. Don't forget to like us and follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Podomatic, or wherever you listen to your podcast. If you want to listen by phone on Sunday, we have a service where you can call with your house phone. People still have house phones, and just subscribe to our service, and the service will call you every Sunday, and you can just listen through your phone. Please, if you want to come to any of our congregational life groups, you are welcome to any and all of them. Please follow the links in the chat on how to sign up and how to get more information on them. For a full list of today's announcements, please go to glide.org/church announcements. Thank you so much. And now please lend your ears and your hearts and your minds to today's witness, Tom Butler.
Once before, I spoke about my long, strange journey to and with Glide. But today I want to talk, because it's MLK weekend, about my dear friend, my inspiration, my mentor, and literally an angel on the planet to me. I literally feel him to be the most wonderful human being I have ever met, Reverend Dr. Cordy Tyndall Vivian. I had the chance to meet and work with Dr. Vivian in New Orleans after I had moved there to work on a documentary, and 3 weeks later was bounced out by Katrina. I then spent 3 years going back and forth between San Francisco and New Orleans and working for a good portion of that time with Churches Supporting Churches, an organization that Dr. Vivian had started to bring people's awareness around the country to helping the churches that had been wiped out in order to bring them back so that people could come back and there could be community, not something that's lost on folks at Glide. Dr. Vivian was one of the men who worked side by side with Martin Luther King, and who on February 15th, 1965, led a gigantic collection of folks that, if you watch the video on YouTube, goes down for blocks and blocks and blocks to come to the Selma courthouse to register to vote. And the picture of him there speaking to Sheriff Jim Clark moments before Sheriff Jim Clark punched him in the face, and Dr. Vivian turned the other cheek. Andy Young one time said that it was the fact that Dr. Vivian took that punch that got the Voting Rights Act of 1965 passed. Dr. Vivian taught me a lot about nonviolence, something that I had always been unsure about, dubious about, wishy-washy about. And he had had a very violent childhood. And he, like John Lewis, were 100% and fully, completely down to their souls committed to this sense of nonviolence. And I learned that from him. That process, that journey, went a long way to my then, during that time, on one of my trips back to San Francisco, when I would always come to Glide for solace in those journeys. On the anniversary of Katrina, the entire celebration was committed to commemorating New Orleans, the people in New Orleans, the people who survived Katrina, and the people who were lost in Katrina. And I wound up at the end of that service crying my eyes out, deeply lost. And I stopped and thought, if they feel this way and I feel this way, it's time to join here. And I walked through that door and back to the Maya Angelou living room and joined Glide. And that's where Dr. C.T. Vivian, CT, and as he liked to call everybody, Doc, brought me. The painted sculpture behind me is called Justice. It's dedicated to Dr. King, to John Lewis, and to C.T. Vivian. I'm Tom Butler, and I am Glide.
Thank you so much, Tom Butler. Thank you for your witness, Tom Butler, and thank you for your testimony. And thank you for bringing C.T. Vivian into this celebration and for reminding us that we all have literary and we all have social justice ancestors whose charge we are keeping, who are spurring us on to do this work, to do it in community, to do it in a way where we can witness one another doing it, where we can share and pool our resources. You know, we always say in celebration that we come together because there's a greater likelihood that our voices will be heard if we cry or if we scream or if we sing together. It's a louder noise. And that's why we come together. And that's why we keep the doors of Glide Memorial Church open every Sunday. And also throughout the week, we want to be the place where people know that they can bring their struggles, their joys, and their concerns. We want them to know that you bring them to Glide, and we will use all the tools in our power to transform all the things that you're going to into action, into healing, and into hope, so that you can go back out into the world and continue to do this work of social justice. We want you to know that when you come into Glide, that you are seen and that you are heard and that your gifts are welcomed at Glide Memorial Church. We keep the doors open for you. The invitation is extravagant and the welcome is radical and the love is unconditional. And if you believe in this mission called Glide Memorial Church and this movement called Glide Memorial Church, we're going to ask you to give right now. This is our offering time. And we have been laying out a vision of what Glide Memorial Church is. If you have prayed or been prayed for, if you have sung or sung along, if you have felt the word so far or the images or the art, we're going to ask you to help us keep these tools available to the community. We're going to ask you to give right now. And there are a few ways you can do that. There's a virtual offering basket. There's a link in the chat for that. There's a donate button on Facebook that is live right now. And there's also online giving at glide.org/igive. We're going to play some offering music right now and give you some time to go get your wallets. And we're going to ask you now to please give and give generously. Thank you so much for your generosity and for believing in this movement called Glide Memorial Church, and by showing through your giving that you believe in this movement called Glide Memorial Church. We have another amazing musical selection for you, sung by no other than one of our favorite singers, Michelle Arce, singing one of our favorite songs because we believe and take seriously this song at Glide. Because when we say lift every voice, we mean it. Michelle Arce.
Good morning, Glide family. Thank you, Minister Marvin. Thank you for asking me to sing today. I want to say a quick prayer for my youngest, Kitty Piper, who had emergency surgery yesterday. They cleared an obstruction from her stomach and intestine, and I will be able to pick her up from the hospital today. So as soon as I am done singing for you, I'll be picking her up. And apparently the next 3 to 5 days are critical. So if I could just have you animal lovers out there pray for her, I would appreciate it. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration weekend. I am honored to sing this song for all of my beautiful Black brothers and sisters out there. I see you. I honor each and every one of you. And I am in this fight with you. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. I love you all.
And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Thank you so much, Michelle Arce, for Lift Every Voice and Sing. And we continue to thank the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we always want to say Reverend because this is a prophetic movement, this social justice legacy that he has left for us. We're now very excited to introduce our special and our guest preacher for the day, Cheryl Evans Davis. Cheryl Evans Davis is the executive director of the San Francisco Human Rights Commission. Davis is a passionate advocate for equity, access, and education. She credits her deep Southern roots and family's strong spiritual values with developing her love for community, culture, and social justice. Cheryl has fond memories of growing up in the church, spending Sundays immersed in song, culture, and the rhythmic words of Baptist preaching. Church was the place where she learned to read and also learned to sit still, absorbing lessons in social justice from the pews. The faith and the commitment of Davis's community demonstrated to justice, hard work, and helping others left an indelible mark on her life and her work. Previous to leading the Human Rights Commission, Cheryl was founding director of Mo Magic, a social justice collaborative and program of the Public Defender's Office. And for more than 20 years throughout her career as an elementary teacher, an educator, nonprofit administrator, legislative aide, and city commissioner, Cheryl has championed the historically forgotten and marginalized. She holds a BA from San Francisco State University, a master's in public administration from the University of San Francisco, and an EDD from USC Rossier School of Education. We ask that you now lend your hearts and your ears, your minds, and your souls to our guest preacher today, Cheryl Evans Davis.
Thank you. I am extremely grateful for this opportunity to be with you today. I am going to try and share, but thank you so much for the song, Michelle, and for the words, Pastor Marvin. I want to thank the Glide family. I want to give a special shout out to Paula Farmer and Freddie Martin for the invitation. And for those of you who are willing to sit and listen to me, I'm grateful. It is an honor to be in space that has been just spearheaded and led by the likes of the Right Reverend Cecil Williams and the legacy of Janice Mercatani. I'm grateful to be here. Today, I wanted to share a little bit about what I call Sunday candy and lessons from a king. I grew up in the church all day on Sunday, 2-3 times during the week. And when I talk about lessons from a king, I am talking about both Dr. King, but also the king that I so often learned about in church, but really didn't fully get to gather and understand the meaning of it. I don't know about many of you. I remember sitting in church and hearing somebody sing, "Ride on, King Jesus." I had no idea what that meant at the time. Ride, was that like we should ride on King Jesus, or should he continue riding it? But those experiences, those moments, all of that was a sweetness, a fondness that I have for that. Sundays were a special day. 2 Corinthians 1:21 says, "And so God makes it possible for you and us to stand firmly together." To stand firmly together. That is what Sunday candy is to me, this ability to come together on Sundays, to be in community. But Dr. King also talked about us standing firmly together, about us building a beloved community. So for me, Sundays represented unity and love. And like Dr. King taught us, Sundays represented for me hope, dream, and the need to work towards a better world. It was both a physical candy that was in somebody's purse, but it was also a mental, spiritual candy, the type of candy, the sweetness that they sang about when they said, he's sweet, I know, he's sweet, I know. That sweetness, the swing low, sweet chariot, coming forward to carry me home, that type of sweetness. The oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Or my grandfather used to sing, I'm gonna feast on milk and honey, that sweetness. So when I talk to you today about the Sunday candy and lessons from a king, it is Dr. King. It is the king of our heart and our hopes. And it is the sweetness of church. So the ABCs of it, as I like to call it: A, affirm yourself and your worth. B, build a beloved community. C, choose, make the choice to be better and not bitter. D, determine to be creative. And E, embrace music. When we talk about affirm, I love the song that it said, say their names. That's an affirmation. Putting the people's names and talking about and celebrating people, that is an affirmation. That is a way that we let people know that they lived, that we are alive. History, retelling the stories, that is affirmation. We need to let them know that we are alive. We need to, as the first song told us, be a witness. Being a witness to the greatness, but also the progress that has been made, but be a witness to the need to do more. I talk about Sunday candy because Sunday was an all-day affair, all day long. And you started Sunday school at 8 o'clock. And if you were lucky, you would maybe be out by 1 or 2 o'clock. And by about 11, 12 o'clock, those tummies start to rumble and somebody would rifle through their purse and come out with a piece of candy. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think I ever, other than the holidays and Christmas time, I don't think I ever bought peppermint candy, but I ate it on Sundays. That peppermint candy would come out the wrapper and it would be sticky and gooey and filled with all kinds of whatever. But I was grateful for that candy and I would eat that candy because somebody was affirming that I was hungry and I needed to be fed. Somebody was affirming that I was there, that I was visible. So we want to make sure that we continue to do that. We want to affirm the humanhood of people. I think about Maya Angelou's life doesn't frighten me at all. Don't show me frogs and snakes and listen for my screams. If I'm afraid at all, it's only in my dreams. She is affirming herself. She is providing that space of affirmation. Sometimes I have to repeat phenomenal woman to affirm myself. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. See, I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. I'm affirming myself that I am phenomenal, no matter what I look like, no matter what I feel like. But we also have to sow that seed into others. A, affirm. B, build a beloved community. Proverbs 27:17 says, just as iron sharpens iron, friends sharpen the minds of each other. Building a beloved community that we are loving our neighbors as ourselves, but we have to first start with loving ourselves. Right? We need to be able to practice loving ourselves and celebrating ourselves. As in the speech from Dr. King, we're fighting more than racism. We're fighting poverty. We're fighting militarization. We need to come together and support each other because sometimes folks feel alone in the fight. We are creating a network of mutuality. Dr. King called it a network of mutuality. We are inextricably tied to each other. What I do affects you and what you do affects me. We have to take care of ourselves and take care of each other. Sunday candy, that was taking care of folks. They were preparing those little, and this is before, at least in my opinion, Ziploc baggies. I remember these little sandwich bags filled with candy that sometimes lived in that purse for weeks. But it was there, it was ready, it was to be able to take care of someone else. King's sermon, where he talks about the man who was a fool, he says, I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you need to be. Until I am what I ought to be, until you are what you have to be. We need to build a beloved community. My grandmother used to, I can hear her in the kitchen. And she was building a beloved community. She didn't even realize it at the time. She was also supporting me. I could hear her in the kitchen on those rough days where she was soothing herself, but she also gave me tools to soothe myself. I can hear her now. Have you Any rivers that seem uncrossable? Have you any mountains that you can't tunnel through? God specializes, she would sing, in things that are so impossible. We have to believe that we can conquer the impossible. That song was both a building of the beloved community, but it was a choice to be better, not bitter. It was a choice to make the best out of bad situations. We have to make the decision, right? To make things better, to continue to push forward. Yes, we may not be where we want to be. We continue to still fight over policing and militarization. We continue to still fight racism. We continue to still fight poverty, but we continue to fight. We have to choose to be better and not bitter and look at what has not happened, but let us celebrate what has happened and use that to fuel us to make more happen. We have to have what King called a creative optimism. He talked about the slaves fashioning within themselves a creative optimism that allowed them to continue to move forward, even though they were not happy in their slave state. They knew that things would be better, whether it was by and by when the morning comes or in this life. We have to choose to be better. We cannot let the deep resentment that can manifest itself in our physical ailments take over. We need to determine to be creative. I love to think about the creativity, how we can use that to fuel hope, how we can move forward. I used to wonder, why do they only bring hard candies for Sunday candy? Why they got only peppermint, or Reggie was talking about butterscotch or cinnamon, right? Or hard, the cough drops. And then one day I realized, oh, it's hot in church. If they brought chocolate, it would melt. All these other things, like they were being creative to have something to carry, but yet I didn't understand it. Somebody told me that their grandmother used to take the wrapper off the candy before she got to church so that you wouldn't hear her unwrap it in church. We have to be determined to be creative. Dr. King used his creativity to transform bad situations, whether it is a letter from a Birmingham jail. He could have just sat in that jail and suffered through, but what did he decide to do? He wrote a letter to others to offer encouragement or to challenge the folks who wanted him to be quiet and told him he didn't belong there. We must continue to affirm one another, to build a beloved community, to choose to be better, but we also must be determined to be creative, to be visionary and practical is what King called it. It says, he said, in a seemingly hopeless situation, they fashioned within themselves a creative optimism that strengthened them. My grandmother saying, have you any rivers? And she used that to soothe herself. Langston Hughes wrote, hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. We must be able to tap into that creativity to not just for ourselves, but it's part of building the beloved community. We have to overcome fear and hate and dare to dream. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Another one of my favorite poems is by a woman by the name of Eloise Greenfield, where she talks about Harriet Tubman didn't take no stuff, wasn't scared and nothing either, didn't come in this world to be no slave and didn't stay either. Farewell, she sang. Harriet sang. We hear stories about meeting tonight, meeting at the old campground. She sang. That was creativity. What are the tools that you are using today to continue to first heal and soothe yourself, to affirm yourself, to reduce anxiety and depression? What can you do to process the trauma? You can be creative. You can sing. You can tell the story. You can make the decision and the commitment to transform a bad situation through the process of your mind. Lastly, we affirm, we build a beloved community. We choose to be better. We are determined to be creative. And as they have done so beautifully today through Glide's musical renditions and the pouring into our souls, we must embrace music. It is the thing that has been proven both spiritually and medicinally to calm the quiet heart, to actually bring healing to our bodies. We must, as they say, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. All ye land, come before his presence with singing. Let us come together and embrace through music. Let us embrace the music. Let us live a life that is full through song. James Cone, the theologian, says music is essential for the identity and survival of Black folks. It allows us to express our joy and sorrow, our pain and our feelings, our moods. It allows us, Sunday allows us to unleash our emotions. Know ye that the Lord, He is God. It is He that has made us. We celebrate that. We live in that. So as I come to my close, I just say to us, like, let us not forget to affirm ourselves, our worth, and others. Let us build the beloved community, continue to build the beloved community. Let us choose to be better and not bitter. Let us choose to make the best out of the worst. Let us be determined to be creative, and let us embrace music. Let us remember the songs of our ancestors. Let us remember that we have the opportunity. I think about, as we talk about affirming the humanity, let us not forget the intersectionalities of who we all are. I had a conversation recently with Bishop Yvette Flunder, and she said, maybe we need to write new gospels that allow us to own and celebrate the intersectionalities of who we are, whether it is trans or LGBT, whatever those things is, old and poor, that we celebrate all of who we are, right? So let us affirm each other. Let us affirm our worth, our humanity. Let us build a beloved community where we love and celebrate all of who we are and all of our diversity and uniqueness and differences. Let us choose to be better. Let us be determined to be creative, and let us embrace music. Let us sing the songs of our ancestors. Let us sing the songs that will offer hope and encouragement to the future. And let us sing the songs that will bring us day by day a little sweetness to our life. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you, Pastor Marvin, and to the Glide family for this opportunity to share with you this morning.
Oh, Cheryl Evans Davis. Cheryl Evans Davis, it is our honor, and we are so grateful that you have decided to share your stories, your lessons, the histories, the weaving of Black music and struggle and stories in service of this entire world. We are so appreciative, and I know our community is transformed by your stories. And y'all heard Cheryl: affirm, build, choose, determine, and embrace. Choose all of the sweetest things that are possible. Thank you again, Cheryl Evans Davis. You are welcomed here anytime. Everyone, don't forget to join us in Freedom Hall for some post-celebration fellowship time online. There's a link in the chat that will show you how to get there. Don't forget to visit our MLK playlist webpage, where there's all kinds of things happening right now, where you can listen to speeches of MLK, watch videos, read poetry inspired by, meditate on his quotes, and yes, listen to house music as well. Make sure that you thank our guest preacher today in the chat right now. Throw in all the heart emojis and love that you can, so she'll know how appreciated she is by us. Don't forget to join us next Sunday. I'll be preaching in this pulpit that Cheryl Evans Davis has fired up. And don't forget to keep fighting the righteous fight until we are all free from whatever holds us back to be whatever that we want to be. And remember King's words and what Cheryl reminds us of. If you can't fly, then run. And if you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But by all means, keep moving. My name is Marvin K. White. I'm your minister of celebration. And now we ask that Vernon Bush lead us out with our special MLK closing song.
We have reached the end of our celebration, and I hope you had a good time, wonderful, loving, joyous time. And as we do here at Glide, we sing this song that we've been singing for so many years. We shall overcome Won't you join with us right now? Here we go. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome today. We shall all be free. We shall all be free. We shall all be free today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome today. Oh, we shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome. That we shall overcome. That we shall overcome today. God bless you.